That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back. We haven't done one in a hot minute. Fishing Friday live. As you can see, I'm wearing my Christmas jangly hat here, and Pete's rolling in from the house. I think Ben's on a trip right now or hanging out with his wife. And speaking of Ben, head on over and show him some love at onecastfishing.com. Use the code the OneCast, all one word, at checkout. Get your hands on all those things that we talk about every single episode, which are the snagless jigs. If you want to join the snagless jig revolution, you want to get your hands on those. They got the weedless net heads, all the soft plastic lineup, the apparel's over there on the website at onecastfishing.com. So show OneCast Fishing some support, because those guys have been with us since day one. And then also, Pete's wearing their shirt right now. Where do they need to go, Pete?
You need to head on over to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code the OneCast, all one word, at checkout. Grab yourself some of that UPF gear, casual wear, hats, all of that good stuff. Make sure you use the code the OneCast, all one word, at checkout. That means you, David Fuchs, because it helps helps show the folks that are partnered with us that you support the companies that support us, which is important. So
absolutely.
From there, you can head to HobieEyewear.com.
Use the link
In the description, unless you don't like saving money, and then you don't have to, but I don't know who doesn't like to save money. So make sure you use that link. It'll save you about $22. Grab you a pair of those Hobie Eyewear floating frames for 80 some bucks. Best glasses I have used, and I've used about every brand, from the super high dollar glass lenses to the Walmart specials, and I've never been happier than I have the last year and almost 2 years now wearing Hobie. So make sure you check them out. Use the link in the description. Dwayne, what's up, brother? Dean over there on Instagram, what's going on, bro? Hope you're doing well. Who else, Trey? We got one more.
Yeah, we do have one more, and we're going to have another one later on this year too. But with that being said, head on over to your app store or your Play Store, download the Deep Dive app. You can sign up for the 7-day free trial, or you can just jump right in like we did and buy that $80 annual subscription to Deep Dive. Deep Dive is a great application for bodies of water that you've never been to, or existing bodies of water that you have a lot of experience on. They got different features such as wind effects, water clarity, water inflows, bait tools. You can pick specific species of bass that you're trying to target, from largemouth, spotted, and smallmouth. It's going to break down the best areas of the lake based on the type of species you're fishing for. It's going to give you all the different tournament winning patterns based on data that's been collected over years from different professional and guide anglers. It's a great tool. Pete and I used it. We've had a lot of success with it. I used it with Seth Ellis when we were on Lake Gaston before to find some of those high percentage areas for spotted bass. It worked out for us. So it doesn't give you all the answers to the test, but what it does do is it keys you in on those high percentage areas and what the weather is doing to the body of water that you're on. So head on over to your Play Store, your app store, download the Deep Dive app, show those guys some love. It's a very cheap subscription when you compare it to about 8 different packs of soft plastics, pending the manufacturer you're buying from, right? So great partnership. And then, like I said before, we're looking forward to 2025. We haven't done a Fishing Friday live in a while, have we, Pete?
No, it's been busy, man, with travel and holidays coming up, and MPFL getting rescheduled. We went down there, and it's sort of hard to go live from the house, especially after weigh-in and everything on the last day of the Derby. So
yeah,
it has been a minute since we've been live with y'all. So we want to jump on here before Christmas, and there's a bunch going on. So we figure we might as well get initial reaction, initial conversation to that. We did not have a recorded episode drop yesterday like we normally do. We're gonna have 2 drop next week. So there was a little bit of additional editing needed on one of the episodes. The other one's sort of going through a little bit of a legal review. So we're just going to drop both of those Christmas week. I know everybody will have a little bit more time to listen with travel and stuff. So make sure you check those out. One of those is with the D team from the National Professional Fishing League. And the other one's with Paul Benson, who, if you've watched any of our leagues with Paul and Brad, Paul gives us his opinion on the drama in the league over the last couple of years that led to the situation I'm sure everybody heard about down there. We're not going to talk about it today. There's a whole episode coming out next week, but yeah, so that bass making some waves today, and so probably going to be a big part of what we talk about here tonight with no co-anglers in the opens for 2025. So that was sort of a shocker to see today. That's kind of a late announcement. I got the registration email about 20 minutes before somebody sent me the link or tagged me in the link. So it's almost like they made the rules change, sent out the registration announcement immediately after, and they're not allowing co-anglers. So, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit, but I'm just looking forward to, I have next week off. We're going to go back, visit some family, hang out, and I'm just looking forward to chilling a little bit, but I am 1,000% ready to get back out on the water. I have not fished since the Tova tournament, which was Veterans Day. So it'll be 2 months by the time I get back, but I'll get out there on New Year's Day, hopefully, and catch my first one of 2025, get that skunk out of the Trey's boat, because I can't get mine out of my garage right now. So I'm going to have to go.
Why? You got too much stuff piled up in there?
Yeah, all the box, like Christmas ornament totes and everything, are stacked up in front of the boat right now. So
yeah,
we'll get those tore down quick and be able to get it out. But yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, same, man. We're pretty local nesters here in North Carolina, so we're not going anywhere for Christmas. We're just going to spend time with, each other and eat some good food. And my wife is going to replay the Grinch and the Santa Claus and Elf and all those staple movies that everyone loves to watch so much, which, I've literally, and no kidding, dude, like the Grinch is playing right now in the house. So we were eating dinner. I put the Grinch on or whatever. I know that movie from front to back. So like, that's how much that thing is played in the house. So if you have, if your family's like that, man, like you'll enjoy that and watch some good flicks and eat some good food and share some just time. I think that's what, Christmas is primarily all about, is time with loved ones, time with family and stuff. So Pete, have safe travels up to PA and stuff like that. And then, Ben, we hope that him and Liz have a great Christmas. And then all of you. I did want to say something real quick though, for like Pete said, we got a couple of episodes dropping next week. You see a lot of platforms out there that guys will air this stuff immediately when it comes out. And I kind of wanted to use that to preface like the Paul Benson episode. Us here, we want to bring you guys as close to the truth as possible. And sometimes in order to do that, you got to do have your conversations and do your digging and stuff like that. We're not trying to get the clicks, the views, the shares. We're not trying to be the first ones to drop something. I think it's important when we do get the information out, it's as close to accurate as possible, because there's so much misinformation in the world. So I think that's important to note. So, kudos to the guys that are out there dropping that stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, we want to make sure that there's an accurate depiction of like what happened. Like Pete said, we're not going to talk about the MPFL. We're going to let that one drop and you guys can hear that. And then, I just want to make that very clear. There's a lot of legal stuff that goes into this. Right. And like Pete said, like one of an episode's going through a legal review, like you got to be careful. And I know it sucks because everyone's like, oh, it's a constitutional right, you're protected. Well, there is a lot of constitutional rights, but at the end of the day, there's also constitutional rights for the opposing party that you're talking about. So you got to be very careful when you talk about anything like that. So we're going to do our due diligence and bring you guys close to the most accurate information as possible. And then, yeah, you're right, Pete. Like, things are getting shook up. I feel like this whole year's been shook up though. Don't you? With everything?
To an extent. I mean, Bass, didn't really do anything with the whole forward facing stuff. All they did was limit transducers. It doesn't really impact the way they're going to fish a lot of those derbies. But the big shakeup with the MPFL, totally, I'm going to say banning, but It's not really banning; they're just making it illegal to use
Yeah.
a piece of technology. It's not that they're anti that technology; they just they wanted to see what it was like. What's going on, Dan? We love fishing too, man. They just wanted to see what it was like to run it without it, because there's so much public opinion about how tournament fishing is not as much fun to watch with it. Blah blah blah. So they're gonna provide an opportunity to, for lack of a better term, see that old school fishing without it.
Mm-hmm.
And then MLF took kind of the hybrid approach.
Yep.
And they're going to be able to use it, I think, one period. I have to go back and double check. I think one period they'll be able to use forward facing. So they have to caught a 21-inch largemouth bass. Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. So there's going to be some gamesmanship on when to or not to use it. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that goes. And then Bass again came in hot with no entry fees for 2025. They've sort of rolled back on that. It sounds like we're going to get some type of announcement of some type of angler buy-in just to help with payouts, which they use an angler council to advise on that. And it sounds like that was a positive experience. So unlike another league that tried to do something similar and didn't listen to anything the angler said, it sounds like Bass listened to their angler council with some suggestions on payouts. Oh, and then Bass also had the information rule change, which they rolled back, I think, 24 hours after making the announcement. That one didn't last very long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a year. Milliken got arrested for fishing without a license 9 months after the fact, after he'd already paid a fine for fishing without a license. It's wild, man. Mike Johns texted me. We were just rapping a little bit earlier, and it's like, who would have thought like what's supposed to be one of the most relaxing sports out there would turn into such a high school drama fest. And that's a good way to put it. Like, that's sort of what it's turned into,
Yeah.
Did I miss any shakeups, Trey? Good night.
I mean, Coosa River came out with their potential changes to slot to tournament. Tournaments not being able to weigh in bass, bringing back bass to the scales. I think that takes effect in 2026. BPT's cutting their field down next year to even smaller, or not next year, but the year following to even smaller. It's like 50 anglers or something like that. There's just you've had a handful of guys walk away from the elite series. You got quite a handful of people trying to come over through the screening process with the MPFL. I mean, man, and we're just talking about like the elites and the BPT and the MPFL here. I'm sure there's a lot more changes. I heard one of the big team trails down south got canceled. So there the Brandon Belt, I don't think is going to be a thing anymore.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, there's just a lot of changes. And, but we're here to talk about, and then obviously that last change, it just came out and I'm sure we missed some, but, BASS opens, they changed that again. So it's not all 9. Now it's, 2 divisions, and then you qualify through those 2 divisions for the elite qualifiers, 3 events. So yeah, I mean, there's just been a lot of changes in what you would consider the professional bass fishing environment. Good, bad, or indifferent, it is what it is. There's just a lot of changes, right? And hey, what's up, David Fuchs? And I think the important thing here is you don't have to fish any of them if you don't want to, right? You got a choice to make, right? So, these organizations, I mean, we all come from a different perspective at it, but Bass has to change things based on what's best for their business, and same thing with MPFL and BPT and all those guys. So, and there's always going to be a victim of the decision, right? There's always going to be a victim of it, because there's going to be somebody that doesn't like it. Whether or not that's being a victim is relative, but still. So no co-anglers is the most recent thing that came out, and there's a lot of public opinion on it. I think everybody that I've seen on socials is sharing that. I know if you go back to one of our very, first couple episodes, I provided my opinion, at the Bassmaster Open level. And, I am not a huge advocate if I was fishing it, right? So if I was fishing it, I wouldn't want a co-angler in the back of the boat, specifically because Bass changed that rule last year where you had to fish all 9 in order to qualify. A little bit different of I think it's a little bit different situation when you're fishing just 3 in a division versus fishing all 9, to be honest with you, but that's just the way that my brain's working.
Yeah.
And so, what I don't understand is, and I don't have their books, I don't do the data analytics behind their business model or anything like that. So this is just solely just from the outside looking in, but I don't understand how COVID really had anything to do with the lack of interest in being a co-angler, as much as you've seen different co-anglers get on social medias and talk about how painful their experience was as a co-angler fishing in the opens behind somebody that's using live sonar technology to catch them. Probably pretty challenging. I can only imagine. I mean, I've done it before, but I've always had you on the boat or Seth or not. We can fish up front together, not in a tournament or whatever, but I could only imagine how frustrating that would be.
Yeah.
If that was the only way that angler was trying to attack the fish. So, I think it's good for the boaters. It sucks for the co-anglers, and I don't know what it's going to do to the business model. I mean, what is your perspective on it?
Yeah, I was mixed earlier, but the more I think about it, I think a lot of the hurt feelings come from the belief that the BASS is the working man's series, the working man's tour, and it still is. The Opens hasn't been in a long time. The Opens has been your springboard to the Elite Series for a long time. It's been a significantly more serious for the boater. Most of the folks there are trying one of two things. They're either trying to make it to the Classic or they're trying to make it to the Elites. And while it sucks to take that opportunity away from guys to learn from professional anglers at a high level, it also is unfair if you don't have a co-angler that you don't have to worry about. So if you don't have a full field of anglers and co's and you only have a few that do have them, there's a bit of an advantage there, because when you have a co-angler, that's an uncontrollable variable in your boat, right? It's not something you can predict how that person's going to ask. If you get somebody that's older and can't handle those long runs, and you find yourself taking it easier, there's a lot of things that it can impact. The grassroots working man's piece of bass is the nations. You have all your local nation stuff. You can fish it as a co-angler. You're still fishing with guys that are really, really good on a local or regional level, maybe not those national level guys. But the opportunity is still there. The entry fees are significantly lower. I mean, let's be real. It was $450. What's going on, Mike? Hope you're doing well, brother. Mike Lascalette, long time no hear. This dude killed a buck one time. He shot it in the nuts with a bow and it died. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But where was I going? Oh, so $475 to fish as a co-angler, and if it's the time of year where forward-facing sonar is going to dominate, like you were at a significant. What's going on, Zach? Merry Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas, brother.
You were definitely as a disadvantage as a co. And did you paid $475 to watch somebody fish,
right.
Which for some is okay. That's why they did it. They went to learn, and they may not care about making a cast. There were other people that wanted to compete, and it puts that co-angler at a disadvantage. So I believe they made a decision that was in the best interest of the Opens and what it is designed to do. It's designed to get you to the Classic as one of the ways to get there. Appreciate you, Mike. Yeah, Christmas blessings to you and your family as well. I hope everything's going well. I'm actually going to be up and around Pennsylvania, so I'll holler at you. Maybe we'll try to get together because it's been a long time since I saw you. Pete was like, "Hey, look, a squirrel. Let me look over there." Yeah, I know. I try to read y'all's comments because I know that's a big part of what
Pete
we
does
do.
a way better job at it than I do. I'm not even.
And I got like
in.
at home, I got like 4 screens, so I'm looking at Instagram, one like all kinds of stuff going on. So I think they did what was best for the folks that are paying, a significant amount of money as a boater. Whether they're fishing out of an old boat, a new boat, all the fuel, all the insurance, all of the other equipment on the boat is that boater's financial responsibility. They paid for it all, plus a significantly higher entry fee. The stakes for most of them are significantly higher. So I get it. I think it was the timing of it I question a little bit. To kind of drop that and then send out the sign up for the opens email was kind of odd to me. Why not do that when you made rules announcements earlier in the year? You had to know that was going to come, right? And I don't know. I need to go back through emails. I don't know if there was a pre-register period and maybe there was a significantly lower number of co-anglers that signed up to the point where they said, we're just not going to do it. I don't know, but the timing seems a little bit weird to me, but I fully support the decision. If you want to fish as a co-angler, you have the nation events, find them locally. You have local Bass Nation clubs. You can jump in one of those as a rider. That's how David Fuchs, who's in here, he started fishing bass tournaments as a rider in a local club. You still have the BFLs on the MLF side. You still have the Toyotas on the MLF side. Both with co-anglers, but there was a distinct difference there, right? BFLs, Toyotas, when it was time to try to qualify for the BPT, you were at the invitational level, no more co-anglers, right?
Right.
So those guys were fishing solo. They had nobody else to worry about. They could go out there and do their thing. So I think there's just some alignment there. The conspiracy theorist in me also says maybe there is more to come between the two organizations, because we know one of them was having some financial issues. We don't know how bad, but if you look at the way they've changed entry fees and moved money around and done things, it leads you to believe that there were some financial issues there. There's also the rumors, which you try not to listen to Doc Talk or rumors, but there are rumors floating around out there. So, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist, maybe there's a merger or a buyout or something coming, and they're trying to position themselves to integrate two leagues together. I don't know. That's just me. I'm thinking crazy. I don't have any information that may happen.
Consider it crazy.
I don't think it's crazy. It's something that very well could happen, but I have nothing other than my own conspiracy theory thoughts leading me to believe that that's one of those things. I always try to look at things from an outside, like what is the wildest thing that could happen, right?
And that's probably the most likely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I do the same thing with this whole drone thing up and down the East Coast. Like everybody's like, oh, is it another country? Is it our country? I'm like, it's probably aliens, and that's the wildest thing you can imagine. That's probably what it is. Like they're probably going to come Independence Day, and I'm going to have to get drunk and fly a fighter jet in the spaceship's butthole to save the world.
I'm back.
I'm back. No, but yeah, so it's really interesting to me more than the fact they did it. It's just the timing to me is kind of weird.
Well, let me read some comments. And my thoughts are this. I agree with you 1,000%. Well, we don't always agree on everything, but I do agree with you on this. I don't believe the Bass Opens are the working man's league. And in fact, the participation in the Bass Nation events, from what I've heard, has been down significantly because so many people were, on the wait list to get into the opens and stuff like that. We've had good buddies. I mean, Matty Wong qualified for the elites through the Bass Nation and stuff, and so if participation is down in one area and boaters are like, I would prefer not to have co-anglers in this area. Well, it probably is a solid business move, because at the end of the day, Bass Nation, and then even, I wouldn't say below that, but even your clubs, man, like clubs across the country. That is your grassroots, right? Your team trails, your Fishers of Men, which is a national tournament trail like you and I fish, Pete. Like that's some grassroots stuff right there, you know. And a lot of people maybe don't know about like the ABAs and the Fishers of Men and the, you know, whatever else. The Alabama Bass Trail is a team series that pays really good. A lot of pros fish that too. A lot of pros fish all of those circuits. And so I think that grassroots, I think that really is what's been hurting a lot, you know, outside of like BASS opens and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that some of those grassroots organizations need to do a little bit better job of recruiting and letting people know they're out there, because it's not just Fishers of Men. You have the ABA that has, you know, divisions all over the place, that has solo and team tournaments. That, you know, there's a lot of grassroots organizations that are not related to one of the big two leagues, for lack of a better term, or organizations.
No,
you're gonna pull up some Facebook comments. You want me to pull them
up? So I actually you know, I wanted to get him on here, but he was unavailable. Let me run over to well, you can pull up something, but I'm gonna pull up Destin. You know, Destin,
I'm looking. Go ahead while you pull that up. I'm looking at our community page where we posted. If you're not a member, make sure you go over to Facebook, look up the One Cast community. I'll actually drop the link in chat. Make sure you join that. Well, we need to do a better job of posting in there, but trying.
Yeah. So, you know,
so make sure you join that. But just real quick before you talk on Destin.
Yeah.
You asked a question. Aaron Little, who's a local buddy of ours, a local fan of the show, said, I don't really know. Seems like a bad move to me just because it gave people a chance to fish the opens, but I understand not wanting a stranger in your boat with all their rods and now their own live scope setup. David Fuchs, who's in here, said, I'm on the fence about this. It sucks because as a co-angler in the opens, you had a great opportunity to learn and grow as an angler. I also understand the stakes are higher now for pros fishing the opens to get to the next level and chase a chance to fish the elite. So it's a tough call both ways. Frank Walter, just straight BS. And Michael Harden said, don't worry, Randy Blockett's going to tell us shortly. So that's what we have so far there. So kind of everybody's riding the fence right now.
Yeah. Well, you know, since David made that comment, you know, we talked about this a long time ago. You know, a lot of times when you enter into these tournaments, it doesn't matter if you're at the grassroots, like club level, and you don't have a boat and you're a co, you're at the mercy of the boater, and that worked the same exact way in the opens. But, you know, I will say this, and Pete and I are advocates of technology. We love using technology, but we also understand that it can have some drawbacks too. David mentioned about learning a lot, right? And I'm wondering if that really has been, I would assume that the learning from the co-angler perspective outside of forward-facing sonar was probably dramatically impacted, right? If you have 90% of the field that know that they gotta utilize the technology to stay competitive, how much are you truly learning as a co-angler fishing out of the back of the boat while your boater is staring at the screen trying to target potentially individual fish? If you don't know what you're looking at and your angler's not willing to talk about what he or she's looking at, then I do beg the question, how much are you truly learning now versus what you were learning before, where guys were talking about targeting cover or in structure and patterns or spots or whatever the case may be? I think it's a lot different now. So where I said in the past, you were paying for an education, it was like taking, you know, 3 college credit hours at $475 for that day. Are you really truly getting a benefit out of that investment? And that's I think that's a fair question. I see where David's coming from too. I just don't know if the education is where it used to be without forward-facing sonar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we have to take all of that into account. And one thing we know about Bass as an organization is I don't think that they just fire from the hip when they make decisions. Yeah, it might seem that way because some of the things are a little wild, like the no entry fee sort of came from out of nowhere. But I promise you, they didn't make that decision without a significant amount of thought behind it, right? And I have a feeling they looked at data, and I'm going to assume a lot of the decisions they make are data driven. That's why we saw their sort of weak attempt at a change with forward facing sonar, which I've been critical of because it didn't do anything. We saw the no information rule. I think there was some data there because of some alleged incidents and some anglers complaining about guys coming from the opens and being able to get information while they were there. I think they made that decision, quickly realized it was not a great one, and reversed it. So I feel like they put some time into the data for this and made a decision based on what they felt was best for the organization and for the anglers that supported it. David said, do you have Destin pulled up?
I do have Destin. Yeah.
All right, let me read his live comment, and then we'll go through some of Destin's because he's got a lot of different perspectives on his. David Fuchs says that's key. The boater has to be willing to share the information. Ed String talk about what he saw and what his thoughts were on how to fish that. But yes, if the boater is not telling the co what they are seeing, then you learn nothing.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. And you see, and David, you also see that without forward-facing sonar technology. I mean, it's really a crapshoot who you're paired with, both from the boater side and the co-angler side. But I agree with you again, Pete. Like, data drives decisions. Hopefully, emotions don't drive decisions. And if the data is showing that it's trending in a bad direction, and the BASS Nation participation's down, and all this, there's a lot of things. I don't think any of these organizations take anything lightly. Are there decisions that they reverse? Clearly, it happens. But a lot of times in I guess a sport like this, you got to let things run its course for a period of time before you make a drastic decision, and then you upset the balance of everything. I think that's, I think we can say that a lot about in life in general. I'm not going to read the names of the people here because it's not our social media, but somebody had made the comment, no surprise here. I wish they would be honest about why there is no interest. Forward-facing sonar has changed everything. Having said that, there should be an even field. It's not fair for some guys to have, co's and other guys to not have co's. So it's a fair move. And if you're fishing for a spot in the elites, you should not have to be given guide trips. Again, that's all up for interpretation. Pete said it earlier. Hey, is luck of the draw. You don't know if you're going to get a co. Look at it this from this perspective. Mike Johns fishes Toyota Series. They won't let those guys go out if they don't have a co in their boat. They will drop boaters until they have enough that are paired with co's, which is a very interesting dynamic. They use it for checks and balances, Mike says, to mitigate any sort of cheating scandals or anything like that. Two very different organizations with very different perspectives. But again, like Pete said, they have the invitationals, and that's their version of the opens for the BPT. Let's see one more here. You got somebody that says, there's a lot of pros. They got started as co-anglers, but apparently Bass has forgotten how the company grew bigger. This person fished back in 95 in the Kmart top 150s in the Potomac, and pros and co-anglers have been fishing in the same boat for a long time. It's been working now, it's been working, and then all of a sudden it's not working. I wonder why. Well, for all those reasons that we said, we don't know. Bass knows. Their entire organization knows. So if you separate the emotion from it, you actually really do need the data to figure out why.
Yeah.
You need the data, right? Like, nobody truly knows why except for the organizational leadership inside of Bass. But maybe, like Pete said, maybe something else is coming out. Who knows? Maybe it's aliens. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I definitely don't know, and I'm not gonna pretend like I know. But if you remove emotion, a lot of these comments you read are people's personal experiences leading to an emotional response because a lot of them started as co-anglers.
Yep.
Destin, started as co-angler, and we're looking to get him on and record an episode and talk about his thoughts. So Destin, turn your phone off. do not disturb and answer. No, just playing. You know, like, I don't know, but I'm looking at it from I'm trying to look at it from, if I was in that boardroom trying to make a decision, what would lead to that decision? And for me, like I said, I think it's fairness to the anglers. If not everybody has a co, it's not fair. Again, somebody brought up how the Toyotas does it, and then that's caused drama. Randy Blockett, one of those that caused the drama when they tried to stick him in another pro's boat to make it fair across the board.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe this isn't the right move, and we'll find out after a year, and maybe they'll roll this back too in a week. If enough people are saying, you know, hey, we want to fish it. I don't know. Don't know. Maybe they could have tried lowering entry fees first, because they may not come right out and say it, but I don't want to sound like one of those people, but I think forward-facing sonar played a role in the decision.
Sure.
The way a lot of folks are fishing tournaments certain times a year has changed.
Mhm.
That technology has changed the approach and the areas we're fishing. Everybody, even guys that don't have it, you see more of them out offshore, except for John Cox. He's just a freak of nature. So, you know, you have to take that into account. We don't get to see angler surveys. I know they send out surveys after events to the co's, and maybe every single one of those, I'm not going to say every single one was, but maybe 90% of those had negative feedback related to forward-facing sonar and the way their angler fish, and it didn't present an opportunity for them to catch fish. I'll be the first one to tell you that I've fished, you know, a lot of tournaments, and if I had a random co-angler in the back of my boat, take this how you will, but I'm not going to care if that guy catches a fish.
Right.
I've paid 3 times the entry fees. I've got an $80,000 boat with $20,000 in electronics. I've put practice time, $1,000 in fuel. I've got an Airbnb. I traveled who knows how far. I'm sorry, but I don't care. It's not, you know, it's not my job to make sure you catch fish. My job is to go out there and do my job, and that's to catch the best 5 that I can catch and try to compete to make whatever my goal is. What's going on, Bill? Hope you're doing well, brother.
Nope.
So I think there's probably some feedback from the guys fishing that is similar to me. And I don't obviously we want to grow a culture of anglers helping anglers. We want to help people, but you're talking about high level competition. Payouts went up. You're fishing for your dream to fish professionally in the number one organization, what has been the number one organization for a long time in the Bassmaster Elites. I don't care about that dude in the back of my boat, and love it, hate it. You might be mad at me for saying that, but it's just the way it is. I'll tell you every single thing I'm doing. I would have no problem commentating the day, telling you why I made a decision, why I'm fishing the way I'm fishing, how I'm presenting a bait. I'll give you all the education you want, but I don't care if I have the boat positioned where you can make one of the casts that I've been making to catch fish, because I'm trying to catch the 5 biggest fish I can catch. So I'm sure that played a role in it too. You've really, since they went to the different way to qualify for the elites, you've really put a lot more at stake for these guys that are fishing the opens. And I think they've probably reacted emotionally, which is, I think there's times where it's okay to have an emotional response. And I think that's one of them when you're fishing for your dream and career.
Yeah. Well, I know you're going to read Zach comment here in a second, but I do want to say a couple things. One, maybe this decision will incentivize a lot more local clubs in your area to apply to be affiliated with BASS, right, and become Bass Nation. I know I'm staring at a Carolina Bassers of Harnett County sticker right here on the podcast door, and years ago they used to be affiliated with BASS. Now they're not. Maybe that will help increase some of the local club participation to get more buy-in at the BASS level, right? The second thing is Pete, who is one of the most well-renowned female kayak anglers out there.
Christine Fisher.
Yeah. So, and I'm only going to say this because I watched her video. She got done fishing a Bass Open as a co-angler. I want to say it was up at Leech Lake or something like that this year. And she posted a video. You guys can go watch it. And she's driving in her truck on the way back, and she literally caught 0 fish on day 2. You know, co-anglers this year or in the past, they only fish day 1 and day 2, and then the top whatever go fish day 3. Well, her first day, she got paired with a shallow water guy, and she was able to catch a couple. And then her second day, she was paired with somebody that was 100% scoping them. And she said she said she'll never do it again, or something to that extent. I don't want to quote her, but she was like, she was like, it's not their fault. It's not the boater's fault, but it was a terrible experience being in the back of the boat and not being able to cast anything of any sort of value, because she knew that it was, you know, the probability was low. I think she caught some junk fish and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully it incentivizes clubs. And look, man, when you got somebody like Christine Fisher saying, man, that really sucked, and she is on the water probably more than you and I combined, you know, she's making a statement there.
Yep. What's up, other Pete? Yeah, Zach brings up a really good point that I didn't even think about. So he asked, does this legitimize the Opens as a minor league to the elites by removing the co-angler? He said, I think the Opens shouldn't be open, then establish a league that feeds into the Opens that has co-anglers and or team events. Sort of like the Toyotas, the BFLs set you up to fish the Toyotas. The Toyotas, you can find your invitation to there's not really a qualification. You can get invited to the invitationals by fishing the Toyotas. Yep. It's been a while, Pete. It's been a while since we actually went live. So appreciate you being here, brother. Love the content you're putting out too with our boy Rick Bassing Through. You guys are doing some awesome stuff. But yeah, I think that's a great point, Zach. Like maybe this is the start of a similar feeder system where you fish your local club that leads to you fishing some nation events, which are more regional, that leads you to fishing something that then leads to, hey, come fish the Bass Invitationals, for lack of a better term, that then gives you the opportunity to go fish the, you know, Elite Series. I don't know. Maybe they are trying to find the correct flow of talent. I don't know, but that really has opened up my thought that it could be.
We always try to relate, competitive bass fishing to other sports, in the country or whatever. And I always look at, like, you know, a lot of people, will use golf as an example. But let's use football for a minute. Think of the Elite Series as the NFL and the Opens as the NCAA. When they take somebody to the combines, Pete, is it a team assessment or is it an individual assessment?
Individual.
It's individual, right? And so I've always said that about the Opens, man. It's like, you know, this is the college, if you will, combine. To make it into to make it into the big leagues, man, or, you know, like they're looking at prospects and stuff like that. Or I don't know how it shakes out in football, but, you know, it's definitely something that's like Pete said, they're not taking it lightly. But when you're paying $2,000 a tournament, that's just to enter the tournament. They've increased the buy-in for those tournaments, man. That's a lot of change to be juggling. And then, oh, by the way, I got a guy in the back of the boat who has to use the bathroom 7 times a day because he has, you know, celiac disease, which is not his fault or whatever, or whatever, Crohn's disease or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. And I got to risk my tournament for him or her, you know, and I just don't think that's fair. So but I also, it does suck for the coast, man. It does suck for those guys. I mean, we got a good buddy, Alex Watts, man. He won up here in Bugs Island, had a great event, you know, took home that trophy here. What was it, last year or year before last, Pete? And, did an outstanding job. He's a hell of an angler. And he'll never get that opportunity as a next year. So he's somebody that's probably directly impacted by this. And I'm sure he has his own, and maybe that's somebody we can get on in the future for the audiences to have Alex come on and give his perspective on it.
Yeah. Pete said, I think dropping co's is great. Compare pro fishing to pro stick and ball sports like Trey did. Most of those sports have those feeder leagues. A feeder league plays under the same conditions as the pros. Yep. Reading the post from Bass that y'all posted, sounds like they're dropping codes for the right reason. Yeah. Eddie said the reason the Carolina Bassers left Bass was due to the increase in fees to join Bass yearly, and you basically got nothing out of it. That's the basic answer. Yeah, and that makes sense. And I know they weren't the only. I'm still a member of the club. I haven't had a chance to fish as many with y'all. Hopefully, I can change a few this year. At least get over there to the river in the summer. But yeah, you can't keep raising fees up and there's no return on that investment just to say that you're a Bass affiliated club. They've sort of taken away the incentives that were there to those clubs to join Bass and be affiliated. That used to carry weight. Guys used to want to join a club just because it was Bass affiliated, right? And they've kind of gotten away with that, especially with the way you can qualify now for the state team and then go on to fish the championship, nationals, and all that. Is they're having these qualifying tournaments versus you used to have to finish in X percent of your club, and then you would fish a regional against the other clubs, and then the top X percent of those got the invite, and now you can just go fish a regional and or a local qualifier, qualify for your state team, and then go fish the regional, do well there, and then you can go fish national. So they sort of took away any positive return on why you would want to be a Bass affiliated club. So that, hopefully that's the next step to Zach's point about feeder systems, and hopefully they do this and they start trying to drive those co-anglers to their local Bass club to help, get them ready to fish a nations event, and then, move up the chain that way, and I think some of it, what's going on, Dave? Hope you're doing well, brother. David Fluker in the house. I think some of it is also the talent we see coming now is almost all high school or college talent, right? Like these kids are going, they're killing it in college. They're going to the opens and dominating, and they're qualifying. Folks our age who used to be the folks that were making it to the elites, that they were living their dream out later in life. We didn't have the feeder system like they have now. So, hopefully this move is going to push them to focus on that feeder system so that the grassroots guy that's 35, 40 years old that wants to fish the elites when he's 45 or 50 can now go fish a local club, learn from guys that have been doing it for a while, build upon the skills, and not go right into having to fish against kids that have started in middle school and fished up through college at a high level and are way ahead of the curve. So, I'm spitballing a little bit there, but my hope is that this change will push some of the focus to some of those grassroots level parts of the organization to build their angler pool. So it's not just, and I don't have a problem with the young kids. I'm not, for anybody watching, I'm not bashing young kids that are making it and going out there and doing well. But you want to see some diversity in your talent pool too. You don't want somebody to get left behind that might be a really, really good angler, a top level angler, an elite series level angler, and just hasn't had the opportunity to learn some of the newer techniques and technologies because they're getting thrown right in against kids that are fishing the, fishing basically the elite series in college, because all of those college kids are studs, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What's up, Mike Johns? Hope you're, hope you know where the U.S. Embassy is at, because I'm about to call somebody. No,
before I read Andrew's comment, I got some drinking some irony here. Where are you at, David? You guys watching?
Oh, there you go. Stay in the boat.
Stay in the boat, Pete. I mean, Ike. Beer. So
no, go ahead and read that, Pete, and then.
Yeah, so Andrew said, I hate to see the co-anglers go, but the change will change the mindset of anglers. I've seen co-anglers really getting ahead of guys that are on a really good pattern and just spin out dealing with difficult co-angler. Main reason the elite anglers wanted the co-anglers removed many years ago. Yeah, I mean, if you've got somebody in the back of your boat that won't shut up, I'm going to be brash about it, that's back there bitching and moaning, whining and complaining, you're not positioning me right. They're stepping on rods. They're falling over. They've got stuff all over. It throws you out of your routine. Like, Trey and I fished a bunch together, just fun fishing, before we said, hey, let's fish some derbies, because we realized we could fish out of each other's boats, and we complemented each other, and there wasn't conflict there. If you're just, you and a buddy just go fish a tournament trail as a team and you've never fished together,
that's a weird
shit may
one.
not work out.
May
you know,
not.
and Charles, if you're listening, I know you and Trey had some struggles fishing together. Just not everybody fishes well with another person. It's not that you don't like each other. Just having that uncontrolled variable in your boat with you. And when it's somebody you don't know at all, I mean, I've fought with friends in team tournaments, like shut up and do what, like, this is working.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you're not perfectly where you want to be for what you're trying to do, but like we're whacking them doing this. So we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And that's with somebody, you know, so imagine that with somebody you have no idea in the back of your boat.
Especially if you're a co-angler that is a boater, but chooses not to fish, you know, you can't have two chiefs in the boat. I mean, if you can still say that, I guess, you can't, unless you have somebody that's very open-minded and willing to share ideas and stuff like that. Like at the end of the day, you're at the mercy of the guy that's paying all the money and running the boat, you know, and Mike Johns is on here, you know, he's given his perspective. And you know what, if Pete and I were co-anglers, we may have a different opinion on this. We try to separate emotion from it. But you know, one of the things that I read earlier, Pete, is, you know, they say they're taking the working man out of it. And then I saw somebody else say, you know, this is becoming even more of a rich man's, AKA rich man's sport. Well, my thing is this, I think Ben even talked about it the last time we were all together. This is not really the high level of competitive bass fishing, man. You have to be well off to do it. Like, let's just be honest, right? You know, nothing's cheap anymore anyways. So you could almost say that anything is a rich person's anything. But it is quite costly, to even fish regionally. I mean, with everything included in it. And so if you want to look at, like, I would just challenge, anybody that's directly affected by this to not have like a victim mindset and look at it as objective as possible. Granted, this is coming from a position where it doesn't impact me the slightest. So that is just my opinion on the matter. But if you don't try to victimize it and you say, okay, if I was a business owner, what decisions would I make and stuff like that. So, but dude, competitive bass fishing is becoming more and more expensive every single day. And I don't foresee it changing until, you know, the economy takes a huge turn and we have international negotiations with companies that make a lot of the product that we buy. And just like Pete said, if I'm out there dropping $2,500 to $5,000 per derby, I don't want something I can't control in the boat with me. Yep. You know, I don't even know if he stuck a banana in his bag on accident.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to stab somebody with a pair of
yeah, I mean, it sucks for the co's, man, if they look at it like that. But maybe it's a blessing in disguise too. Who knows?
Yeah, and Eddie said finding a partner is very hard to do. Everyone wants to fish, but it's hard to find someone that will put into it what you as an individual will put into it, that truly wants to try and win. Yeah, you're right. Not everybody has the same competitive drive. Mm-hmm. Not everybody wants to go out and spend time practicing if they're able to.
Yeah, and people are affected 100%. Differently too. Like Mike Johns just said, that's probably the biggest complaint from a boater to a co is decision making and finding fish. I mean, you said it earlier, Pete. Like each one of us is cut from a different cloth, and so we react differently to energy. Right? If you're a huge empath and you soak up energy really easily, like it could turn your whole day around. If Pete's in the back of my boat saying this sucks, this weather sucks, there's no fish in this lake, man, it could be having an impact on your or my performance or Pete's performance. I don't want that. You know?
No.
We already get like that as it is as partners.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, one of us does. We haven't both spun out at the same time, so it's worked out.
Yeah, well, we keep each other on track.
Mike said that's probably the biggest complaint from a boater to co-decision
Yep.
making and finding fish. Yeah, Eddie said the last thing you want to hear as a team partner is when the question is asked, "What do you want to do?" Whatever you want to do is fine with me. That's not the answer when it comes to trading ideas and suggestions.
We've been there.
Yeah, we've been there. When I have no idea what to do, and I ask Trey, and he has no idea.
Yeah. No, Eddie, you're spot on, brother.
But yeah, you're right. And there's times when it's not working, and Trey will say, "Well, why don't we go try this?" And we do it. Or I'll say, "Trey, that shit's clearly not working. We need to go do something else," and we'll go do that. So you have to both want to share your ideas. You have to be comfortable doing that, and it's a balance, man. It can test a friendship for sure. And I mean, we've seen friendships end because of team tournaments.
Oh yeah,
it's serious.
When they never should have.
Serious, no. Zach said, "Do you think a lot of issues having a co in the boat if they switch to a shared weight format like the U.S. Open?" Yeah, man. Like I love what the U.S. Open does with the shared weight deal, and I think that would be great, but not an elite. Not when you're trying to qualify for the Bassmaster Elites or the Bassmaster Classic. I think it'd be cool if they had a feeder system with co's where they went to a shared weight. And there was a rumor that I can't remember if the BFLs or the Toyotas were considering doing something similar to that. So I'd like to see one of these organizations grab one of these pro, I'm going to say pro and co leagues, because that's sort of what you see, or pro-am, you know. I'd love to see one of them grab and go to a shared weight and just see how that works for a season. You know, I know these organizations have more leeway than they think they do. They can make a change like that. And as long as they push through the initial whining that you're going to get, and it is whining, I'm not going to call it anything other than that. You know, I think it'd be worth taking a look at and see if it changes anything. Dave Fuchs said, Christine Fuchs says there's no fish at all in North Carolina, to which Pete W. Fishing said, David Fuchs, that is false. And I would agree, that is false. There's no fish in Sharon Harris, but there are fish in North Carolina.
That is also false.
That's also false.
I also zeroed the other day there, so it's not false.
Yeah. Mike John said, I don't like the shared weight option. And MLF talked about rewarding boaters for co's catching fish. Yeah. I see both sides of it, but I think we're at a time in competitive bass fishing where these organizations need to start trying some different things just to help continue to get people into the competitive side of fishing. Because competitive fishing's fun, man. Like, I really like it. You know, I have a lot of fun. Do I want to go out and fish for big money? Not right now. Maybe someday. I'm happy doing what we're doing and fishing some local clubs and fishing the Fishers of Men. And, you know, we're going to have a high-level tournament that we're going to compete in April with the national championship for that organization. That's going to be a ton of fun. New level of stress. And maybe I'll get down there and I'm going to be like, yep, this is what I want to do. And then I'm going to go chase that fight. You know, you don't know. I don't think I'm going to. I'm probably going to be down there and just want to stab people and get out of there. But no, I'm just kidding. I don't stab anybody. But, you know, I don't know, because it's been a long time since I fished anything where stakes were high like that high.
Yeah.
You know, we saw the pressure just in the it came down to us to the last Derby of the year for Angler of the Year. And you feel that pressure, you know, even at the local. So amplify that when your dream of fishing the elites is there. So,
yeah, but you know, a lot of that pressure is self-inflicted, and it's due to most men wearing pride and ego on their chest, you know, and that's what a lot of this is about. I mean, I'm the same way, man. Like it didn't matter if I was in a club tournament or a Fisher's Men Championship or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like I have so much pride. I want to be proud. But there's a difference being proud and then wearing your pride. And I think a lot of times we do that. Andrew Young said, very expensive sport, but I've seen guys show up with a boat and a ton of Zebcos or a load of Zebcos and cheap rods and beat my tail because they are so in tune with their equipment. Absolutely. Andrew, Matty Wong showed up to a Bass Nation event in a really old boat. Was it his uncle's boat or something like that?
His boat. He had bought his uncle's boat. But
that's right. And yeah, Andrew, absolutely. That's not the narrative that's being spread around by the good marketing geniuses around the fishing industry. Obviously, that's the pros' jobs and the industry's job is to push product on people and make it exciting and say, if you don't have this, you can't compete. We all know that's not true, but there is a competitive advantage with having better equipment. There is a competitive advantage. You can't deny that. We talked to our good buddy Seth Ellis. He used forward-facing sonar in this last event, and you guys will hear that in the D-Team episode when it drops next week. Forward-facing sonar, he didn't use it really much all year, and he went out and practiced with it, and it played a huge role in him having a 21st place finish in the last NPFL event. And Pete and I have said it before. If you're allowed to use it, you need to get on board and use it if you can, because you don't want to ever put yourself at a disadvantage when it's right there at your fingertips.
Yeah.
But I agree with Andrew. Like, I can show up in a John boat and whoop somebody's butt. Right place, right time, good luck on my side. It doesn't matter. And then, and these guys aren't fishing their local lake. They're not fishing their Jordan Lake every single day. These guys are traveling around the country. So, having good equipment is important, and a lot of these guys are making their living off of fishing the Opens and the Toyotas and the Invitationals and stuff like that. So yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's the industry. It's the way it is. But I feel like it's always been shaken up. It's just now we just know about it a lot more than we ever used to. Everything's exposed. Everything comes out right when it comes out. Everyone's going to make a video about it, going to have a podcast, going to have a Fishing Friday live about it. We're going to talk about it, which can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. If you miss reading those Sunday papers, I think they still exist, but I don't think you're going to get content like this in it. You know what I mean?
No.
So, but yeah, man.
Well, appreciate it, man. It's been an hour, folks. So we're gonna wrap this one up with a bow. I got to get up early and make the trek north to visit my family for the holiday. Appreciate it. We do plan to do a live next Friday, so look for that. Make sure you check out all those companies that support us. We talk about them every week. We couldn't do it without them. Really looking forward to bringing in our newest partner here in a couple weeks. We'll announce that to everybody. So looking forward to working with them. Miss you too, Mike Johns. Have a safe trip down there where you're at, and we'll see you soon. Merry Christmas, Christine, Dave. Merry Christmas to y'all. We love y'all. Appreciate all the support as always. Everybody else, man, we appreciate y'all being here supporting us over the last 2 years. Have a great Christmas on Wednesday with your families, friends. If you don't celebrate whatever it is you're doing, I hope it's awesome. And that's what I got. You got anything else, Trey?
No, man. Merry Christmas to everybody. We will see you next week. Make sure you tell us in the comments next week what your favorite gift was that you got for Christmas. Hopefully you got some of those One Cast Fishing jigs and Carolina Waters apparel and some Hobie sunglasses. And hey, maybe your wife or significant other even subscribed on Deep Dive for you. But no, we appreciate everyone joining us. Thank you guys so much. Pete, go ahead and close us out.
Yep. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Have a great Christmas. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for helping us grow a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.